And so, ladies, all right. So today's
Thank you.
discussion is on whether big weddings is a key to a happy marriage. Coincidentally, I saw an is it an article or yeah, let me put it. I don't know how factual it is, but it says some men now going for 2 to 3 lists for the dowry and chooses the one that is less expensive and marries that woman. I don't know whether it's true or it's not true. So we are going to deliberate on why is why has weddings or marriage in general become so expensive now? Ajwa is the first person I see. So my first question goes to you. Why has marriage or weddings become so expensive?
All right. So I was hoping I'll go second today again. But
Oh,
yes,
so you want me to start?
no, it's fine.
Okay, okay.
I think weddings have become expensive because of, I honestly believe that people want to show that they have found a perfect match and want to position themselves as going into a good family and having enough to take care of themselves and to splurge and to show, really just showcase, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the truth on the ground. The Ghanaian culture is very hip, I think. Very, it's just an outward show. Like we don't really want to show the bad side of things. We're always just showing the good side of things. So even if you do not have money to do something, you do it for your guests, but you not do it for yourself. And I think that's just hypocritical. But I think that's perception of, I want to show that I'm going into a good home. I want to show that, this is a union that I'm celebrating. It's become a trend that doesn't make sense to me. I think for me, the expenses that we have now added to the basic ceremony of marriage is just ridiculous, because the main thing is the families meeting, exchange of drinks, and doing all that traditional conversations to say, okay, you are taking over, I'm handing over my daughter to you, take care of her safety and all of that. But now it's become, I'm demanding this from you because I have spent this amount of money taking care of her, and I want to also show to the community that she's a worthy woman and must be spent on, sort of. So I mean, those are my initial thoughts. I just think that it's just a show off mentality that has eaten into a lot of our celebrations, not just marriage. It's eaten into everything now, and we're just showcasing. There are people who generally have the money and can afford it, but those who can't afford it, you realize, still want to live up to that expectation and that view that they can spend. They are grown enough to spend. They are doing well
Okay,
in
that's
life. Let- yeah, those are my initial thoughts.
all right. So I'll come back to you. So Petra, what is your initial thought as well?
Yeah, true. Adra has said what I'm thinking, but then just to add a bit to it, now social media is not even helping the case, because there's like, we're all looking forward to the biggest wedding of the year. So come 2024, I think come December, most of the bloggers will start blogging about which wedding was like the biggest in the year. And if it gives us some pressure as young people to, meet up, or even beat the standard, so to say. So a lot of unnecessary pressure on social media, makes us want to have that grandeur wedding. Yeah, when even we can't afford it. I mean, if you can afford it, why not? It's nice. We all like beautiful things. So if you can afford it and it won't become a problem for you guys in the end, because after the whole show, we will go to our house. So we probably won't even attend the wedding, but we see it on social media, we admire it and everything. It's nice. Who doesn't like nice things? It's nice. But then when you go home or you go into your new life as a couple and you have to, be settling debts here and there and be, start off on a tense note. Charlie, I don't think it's cool. So personally, I think that we shouldn't allow ourselves to be pressurized. Sometimes too, it's not just social media, the family too. Hey, radio is new. Hey, Oba radio, do you know how much you're worth? Charlie, show us, show us. So it's all parts, but yeah, I don't think as young people, we should allow such things to pressurize us, especially when we are planning our wedding ceremonies. We should learn to cut our coats according to our size. Yeah, that's it for me.
Nice. Adra says we like nice things we can't afford. Okay. So my next question is: do you think the amount of money involved in getting married is deterring a lot of young men from going into the institution? So, Adra, I'll start with you again.
Absolutely, absolutely. There are men who will even say, I am uncomfortable wanting to date from my observation.
Adra, looks like we are losing you.
Like,
Can you hear
if
her?
we were to get married.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now or
Yes,
no?
I can hear you
Okay.
now. Yeah.
So I'm saying that some men now, before they even approach you, they want to see what kind of family you're coming from. Is there likely to be pressure on a specific kind of wedding? And the conversations they have with you, they realize you are very money focused. They simply move on to the next. And someone will say, but we were talking, everything was nice, and suddenly he changed. Yes, because maybe he saw one or two things financially and realized that no, I would rather be by myself than to put myself into a family that demands a lot from me financially. And then there are others who are also dating who would say, look, I don't have enough money yet, so let's keep waiting. And then the waiting game becomes long because the standards every year, like Petra said, every year the biggest wedding becomes the standard. And the savings will never be enough because this poor guy, or the two of you, poor two of you, putting money together to meet a certain standard that keeps increasing. So the pressure becomes more, and eventually somebody might either lose interest because it's been years and years of just planning and never getting there. And like you said, the article that says he meets another person who is more modest. To him, he's looking for a life partner who is understanding and can build a life with. And when everything is being spent on a marriage ceremony, then it becomes a problem. And I'm not saying this is just the demand of the women. Some men also prefer to be, they're the ones who are actually pushing for the big wedding. Some men, based on where they're coming from, they think they've made it, etc., or they want to show from an ego point of view, especially if they had a previous relationship that didn't work out. The next wedding is like, I need to invest in this one to show that I am happier, etc. So the demands have they are not changing, but I think that men choose, some men, not all, choose the more affordable option than the real person they might be attracted to.
Okay. So, Petra, what do you have to say on that? Is the cost of weddings causing a lot of young men not to get into the institution?
Yeah, I think you and I are mostly on Facebook, so we see some of these topics here and there. I mean, it's scaring the young men a lot. But the thing is, see, if you run away from it now, or if you're even saving towards a wedding now, the price now won't be the same price tomorrow. And then, so I mean, what am I even saying? Like the whole thing. Let me even flip it. So now, where people are, the men are running away because they know that, Charlie, everyone wants that big wedding. Every woman, like I said last week,
Tasha, you're muted.
man, you have an idea of you have an idea the kind of wedding you want. It might not be the whole pechepe vibe, but you have an idea. You understand? So I think that we should try to know the people we're getting married to. You should know your husband, your partner in question. Can he afford this wedding? What can he afford? How can we make it work? Because at the end of the day, is a marriage just about the show, or it's about life in the marriage, really? Why are you marrying? Are you marrying because you need a partner, or you want to show to the world that yes, you have arrived, or yes, like I just said, I'm happier in this relationship. Like you left me, you're lost. What are you trying to portray? Like what's the end goal? You
Yeah.
see, so I think that that's also something that we the young women should look at before getting married, because Charlie, the budget there, it will keep going high and high. What was useful for 5,000 won't be useful now for us. At first you give someone what 1,000 cedis and the person will praise you, but now you probably will give someone 1,000 cedis and will be like, hey, now me big girl like me are dashing me 1,000 cedis for what?
Please send me the
So
1,000 cities.
sorry.
I said send me the 1,000 cities. I'll start with
So you see, it differs from um different perspective. If I give you 1,000, you might value it. If you give someone 2,000, the person might not value it. So just know your person's budget, and work with what you have. Really work with what you have. Don't let the pressure enter the union. I mean, even before you marry, you're letting outsiders come into the union. What kind of relationship are you going to be having? So I think that we, the young women too, we should cut the men some slack, because, mind you, yesterday I was thinking about this thing, that it takes a long time for our mates, as men or as boys that we went to school with, were in the same class with. We probably would grow fast. We grow faster than them, so we end up even marrying much older people than our mates. A few, like a handful of our mates really marry, like age mates. That's what I mean. Like you're 34, you're marrying your mates you were sitting in class with. It hardly happens, because it takes time for men to find their feet after school. So you should take all these things into consideration, that once we finish school, maybe your high school sweetheart, it will take a while. You don't expect him to be having what 100,000 to come and marry. It doesn't work that way, because we're all doing national service, but he might, like, you might be lucky to land a job. You're pretty. Someone can dash you money. But the men, it takes a while. So you don't expect that what an older person will be able to do, say spend say 100 or whatever amount on a wedding. Your classmate or your young friend who just literally started life trying to find his feet, perhaps bought his first car, some La Paz Toyota B, just to move, and like just to move from point A to B, and you're asking him to go and book what? a Fiesta Royale wedding for it doesn't work like that. It will take time. The Fiesta Royale wedding, it might come, but maybe not at the time, like not in the beginning of the relationship. You understand? It takes time. And when you marry and you get lucky, you pray, you might get lucky. And of course, where you started off as a couple won't be the same. You always grow financially and in everything. So I think Emmanuel Kakra for the boys.
Okay, thank you, Petra. Ajwa says families also have to be reasonable. Unnecessary demands is so off-putting. We will come to the families very soon. Albert, welcome. What we are discussing is the cost of weddings putting men off from entering marriages. What do you have to say on that?
Was that La Paz Toyota shade to me?
Hey, I beg you. I beg you.
I mean, certainly it is. It is. I mean, as a man, see, there was, okay, so I went through a certain experience that I told myself until I get enough money that I can spoil a girl, I won't even bother to ask anybody out. All right. And when you feel ready, you don't mind whatever cost. If you have the money you can pay, you don't mind, you will do it. All right. So I think I was fortunate enough to have gone through a certain experience right after uni. So before I started national service, that experience had sort of tainted my mind, and my mind was just telling me that until you get to this point, don't even bother, because you're going to hear this thing again, right? And not to bore you with details, it just got to do with a boy in university and a girl expecting more than he can even afford, right? Like I struggle to even get by. And you are comparing some other Dadabi boy to me. I mean, really. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, so this is how it works. Even if it's not even about material thing, but the point is that if you can't afford it, don't try it, because relationship, being with a girl, is expensive. Not even that the girl is asking you for money, but as the saying goes, if you don't have money, you don't have love. I mean, I can tell you all the sweet things, I can do everything, but how do I show? And I don't show by word of mouth. I show by actions, and action is equal to being able to afford credit, being able to afford flowers, being able to take you out, being able to do all the nice things that you will make you think that I love you or see that I love you. So for men, if we can't do it, we won't even bother. So if I don't have the money to marry you, I won't stretch myself unless pregnancy come inside. Then under duress, I have to do something. That's where the Bosnia boy and all of those things will come in. But under normal circumstances, a man will not bother marry you if he can't afford it. Sometimes even the woman's family would suggest that we want to pay. Most men would reject that. Right. That's also a conversation for another day, but whether it is right or not, but I would say the average man would feel demasculated if they take money from the woman's side just to, well, the father may be rich or whatever, just to, right. So it is a factor. And for me, I had to wait till I could afford before I started even looking for a girlfriend. Not that I have a girlfriend and it's like, okay, let's wait it out till I get money and I get married. I didn't even want to be in a relationship, and then those conversations would come up. So till I can afford to marry you, I won't even come and say, hello, my name is this. I mean, so Yeah, it is. It is true that it's putting a lot of men off.
Yeah, maybe you are different, but I think there are men too who would like to marry from rich families and be taken care of. I don't know. But my next question goes to Ajua. How do
But wait, so
financial strain, sorry?
wait. I wanted to add something to what Albert is saying.
Okay.
So and I think that nowadays we also don't waste to be married. I'm saying this because most men don't even want to, most of the young men don't even want to marry because I mean, why buy the whole cow when you can get the milk for free? We're also making it very very easy for them to not want to marry, you know. So I
Okay.
think that
For that angle, there are a lot of different perspectives. So let's stick to
yes,
what
yes,
we are talking about for now.
yes.
Because that will bring a whole lot of
That will bring
conversation.
a whole lot, yes. But yeah,
So,
yeah, let's carry
yeah.
on.
Yeah, okay. So, how do financial strains from expensive weddings affect the relationship between couples before and after marriage? Let me take it again. How do financial strains from expensive weddings affect the relationship between couples before and after marriage? So, please be thinking about it. I'll start with Ajua.
It really affects everything. Everything, oh. Because look, imagine, I mean, I've seen so many stories online, as in which ones are true or which ones are not. But people sharing their experiences, pretty much saying that, look, the debt collection after a wedding messes up the whole honeymoon stage. And whilst instead of just focusing on let's now let's try and get pregnant, or let's try and plan properly now for the next couple of years of our lives, they rather now start planning to repay debts for a marriage ceremony that they probably like they still did not even see the real benefit. The thing is, until you finish spending that money and you get your pictures and you are sitting there, you sort of do a reflection and say, Charlie, this thing cry wasn't that necessary. I've even done it before, like, and we could afford it. That was even worse. We could afford it, and I'm like, to invite, and we even were modest. We had only 200 people those times, and that was considered modest. But I'm now thinking, did we really even want them there? Like, so I can imagine the people who now, I mean, it wasn't expensive then, as expensive then. I can imagine how much debt, because I'm hearing amounts of 300,000, 400,000, 200,000 for a wedding ceremony. If you combine the engagement with the white wedding, etc., like those costs are not cheap. And I'm thinking that's a whole house, that's a vehicle, that's savings. Yeah, that's savings towards your children's education. That's, vacation money. You could have gone somewhere to another country and go have your own honeymoon. Most people even sacrifice their honeymoon because they want to be able to put on a show on their wedding. And after that, they're all upset and bitter towards each other because now one person is blaming another person. It's your family members who came a lot. I did only had 10 of my friends attend. I didn't even want this photographer. You wanted this expensive person. And before you know it, you're having unnecessary arguments that become the foundation of your marriage, because that's all you're that's all you're really doing the first year, trying to repay debts or argue back and forth on whose fault it was. I honestly think it has a huge financial, it takes a toll on you mentally. It affects everything. I'll say spiritually, your bonding process is all, it can be off if you're all only focusing on debt repayment. So if I were to encourage anybody else, look, do whatever you can afford, and keep debt to a minimum or zero. If you can avoid it completely, do that, and rather start saving towards what life would be after the marriage, because nobody, like the advisor you even get, you usually don't hear a lot of that. You only hear about, your wedding, the engagement, and it seems like that's a destination, and after that there's nothing. But there should be proper conversation on how many children are we going to have, how many, and what does it mean, like in money terms. Like to have a child, what kind of schools are we thinking about, what kind of life do we want to give our children? That should inform how you save towards your children's fund before they even arrive. So I think that conversation is more critical than all these conversations about wedding and engagement, etc. So yes, no expensive wedding if I were to have my way.
Okay. So Petra.
Yes, media. Cut your coat according to your size. That saying never goes old with me. If you can't like plan your wedding. And when I say planning, I mean save towards your wedding. If you want a big wedding, be practical. Like how much do I need for this? How much of my salary should go into this? And this one, me, I'm not talking about the women, no. Me, I still stand by my words last week. You don't have to pay anything for your wedding, the man. So how much of his income can go into this planning, and what do I need to buy? And if you take your time to plan, say like a year or two prior, you can you
Right.
can save
That's
a
legit.
decent amount for that wedding. And if you know, like I always say, if you know the one you are marrying, you know his pockets, you know what he can afford. And one a year. So yes, this is what we're doing. We're expecting 50 people. If his money can afford like can cater to only 50 people, that's what we're doing. Any extras that person should pay. You understand? If your parents think they want to invite, their whole community, I think that you should have a very respectful communication prior, so that some of these things can be catered for, not surprise no surprises here and there. Just plan ahead, cut your coat according to your size, be very practical. For let me make it practical too. So for my wedding, I knew the things that I wanted. Me, the dress was not important for me, because that dress you wear it for what, 2 hours, one
Yeah.
max, watch out the whole day. That dress you will never wear it again. Well, except for these white people who pass on their wedding dresses to the next generation. In Africa, we don't do that. In Ghana, we don't do that. Oba Mesha Watai. In fact, by the time your children come cry, that style will be out of fashion. So they won't even want to wear it. So you are going to wear that dress for what, barely 2 hours, or at most the whole day, and that's it. You won't wear it again in your life. So why spend so much on that? The earrings, mo pa asɔre na wotena car no mpo, wonhyɛ bio. Or you probably would change into something else. So chances of you not wearing those clothes shouldn't be like when you are making that budget, that thing shouldn't be up there. It should be something moderate, tasteful. My word is tasteful. Have a tasteful wedding. It shouldn't be so expensive. The things that are important. When you take, for instance, photography, you know that, oh, as for my pictures there, it will last a lifetime. So I want to invest in my photography. I want to invest in my videography. So that one, you can invest properly there, but I mean you shouldn't go above your budget. Scout
Yeah.
around and see which one would suit you. And sometimes if you have to even adjust a few things here and there, go on and discuss with your partner. You can do anything. It's your wedding. Oh, the wedding is not for any other person. It's just the two of you. So both of you should be able to sit down and talk about it, so that when people come for your wedding, they should see that this wedding is really just about the two of you. Because
Yeah.
if you know you don't owe anyone after after the ceremony, trust me, Osebe Gusosa, you'll be smiling throughout because you don't have any problem.
I get it. Okay, so
You're
Albert,
just happy.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was going to Albert. I thought you were done.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so just cut your coat according to your size, plan ahead, save towards it. Whatever your man can afford is what we are going with. If you can afford just a signing in the court, ebusua 4, 5, 6, you share because really we just the whole thing is witnesses. The witnesses should be both families. Nipa 2, 3 cry a bit to me, and that's what you can afford. Fine. And if you can afford a big wedding, why not? But I don't think it's prudent for you to go and borrow and then after, Charlie, a hungry man is an angry man. Oh. When I don't have money, I won't be smiling with you. So, so you can best believe that once you start your marriage with debt, your partner either ways will not be happy with you. The whole marriage is in my opinion, just starting on a very rough note, and it would lead to a lot of issues in the future. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So, Albert, I'm coming to you. Let me restate the question again. How do financial strains from expensive weddings affect the relationship between couples before and after the marriage? Yes. So, Albert, let's hear your voice.
Right. I mean, there's a saying that "Usikasa wa semusa," and most at times to audio here can't quite like you go to the market, you want to buy something, you really like it. The woman's like, "Oh, weigh 100 do not feel buy 30 minutes na muguso." Right. But if you have the money, okay, kangum yanko, you get it, you just move, right? So before the wedding, a lot of the back and forth that happen between the couple is definitely finances. And that's because one person would want something, they've cherished it for so long, and the other person doesn't see the need in it. So there will be those kind of back and forth. But if you have the money and the other person wants this and you can afford, you just buy it. You don't even talk about it. So the planning is nicer. You have fun planning it, but if there are less resources, there's always strain. Anytime you hear any couple who are about to get married saying that the planning is stressing them out, it is because of money. Full stop. Because if you have money, you won't even involve yourself in the planning. You get a planner. You ask a planner, this is what I want. How much will it cost? 200,000. You write a check. You are out of the conversation. Right? But because you don't have money, but you still want to follow the trends, you are stressing and you want to do things, you can't afford it. See, I have always thought that for me, I'm not going to spend much on my wedding. So it was part of my criteria looking for someone to say that, do you want a big wedding or not? Because I know I can't afford it. Like, I know where I'm coming from. I won't be able to afford it at the time that I want to get married. I can't do that big wedding. So I've always said that I'll do my wedding on a boat. On a boat. Let's say the Princess. It sounds exotic, but it's for a reason. That ship can take just about 40 people. And we give time. So when the time is up, it moves into the water. So you can't come. Even if you are late, you can't come. So you might think that, I guess no. I just want to reduce cost. Right. So I couldn't do it there, but it's the same thing. I looked at my budget and I told my wife, this is my budget. This is the whole budget for everything. Right? How do you want it? We can spend everything on your wedding and then we stay home or just go around the corner for honeymoon. Or we push 60% into honeymoon and 40% in the wedding. We just cut it down. Which one do you want? She chose 60% for honeymoon. So what do we do? Wedding and engagement same day on a Friday. Adrian Boninti. Right. Elimination by rough tactics. So if you know how much you have and you are open, a lot of us, we are not open about our finances. because of akesesembia before getting there, Ninti, there are a lot of things that, okay, I'll do this, or you want to keep up with the Joneses when you don't have the money to do it. So if your partner understands, that's a key thing. That's really key. Sometimes we get quote and unquote unreasonable partners who are stuck on certain fairy tale wedding that they've lived through all their life, so they can't let go. Now, be a problem. Until show be say you don't have the money to support it, it becomes a problem. Then you also love the person, so you are forced to go borrow just to satisfy this person. So it becomes and after that, after the wedding, if you're not fortunate to marry into a rich home, either way, that your parents or parents-in-law set you up in a house and you have to go rent and furnish the house and all of that with money, you're already starting in negative. How do you claw back to equilibrium before you start getting money? So you will be way back in life. And then in the first month, you give birth or you get pregnant, you give birth. That also sets you back. So every time now I should, all because of certain decision, financial decision that you couldn't agree on as a couple. So it's usually a problem, and that's what really causes it.
All right, thank you very much. My next question: how much should family input? Because when Adja was talking, Adja spoke about family. Pesha also spoke about family. So, how much should family inputs, especially from parents, shape the size and expense of a wedding? Adja, I start with you.
As in the parents paying for the wedding.
No, as in, how should their inputs decide how big your wedding is? Maybe the couple have decided that they want 50 people. Then the parents go like, oh, nana no mechi for no, we mu beba, ain't. So how should their inputs shape the size and the expenses in the wedding?
Okay, so I think I'll use myself as an example. My mother was, at the time, she was the women ministry president in her church. My mom was very involved in church activities, and the way she showed up for a lot of people in their ceremonies, I knew that they would show up the same for her in her daughter's marriage. I decided that I would not have the wedding where my mom or where I used to go to church, to cut the numbers immediately, because I knew I wanted to exclude the entire women ministry involvement, etc., and it became their wedding, etc., because I knew I could not control the numbers, because she did have a loyal following. So as much as I wanted it to be just my decision, I explained the logic of my decision or of our decision. She understood and said, okay, she was not necessarily super excited about it, but she understood that it was my decision, and ultimately I had to make that's where, in terms of where I wanted it to happen. So we chose a neutral ground, which wouldn't have, didn't have any commitment to anybody. If you knew the location, then you could come. If we don't tell you, you won't be able to show up. In fact, there were people who didn't make it to the the venue because we actually told them not to come. We had to tell some people at the church not to come. So back to parents' involvement. My mom and my mother-in-law, we had to give them a quota, the number of people they could invite, their friends. And then I had a quota of friends I wanted to bring. My husband also had a quota of friends he had to bring. They negotiated for extras. So what it meant was that I gave up some of my slots for her. And I think the same thing happened with my mother-in-law. So we didn't necessarily, their input was important in the wedding. We wanted them also to feel involved, but we also did not, we knew that ultimately we're the ones paying for our ceremony. So, and they also knew that. So they did not push And we also did not become too, rigid in our decision in terms of what they could, how many people they could bring, etc. We were just firm to say, if I give you have 50, if I'm giving you extra, it means I'm pulling it from my list of friends. That means I'm reducing the number of friends that I'm able to bring so I can give you. And they actually minimized the numbers because of that. So they were okay with their numbers eventually. So I honestly think that it really depends on your family, who is supporting, and if they really want to just give to you some money, yes. But I don't think that their decision is a financial decision. It's more of an emotional decision for them. Like it's your wedding, they're excited, their baby has grown, who's now getting married, and they want to feel involved. So there's a way to get them involved without necessarily breaking the bank. So yes, they can share their inputs, but ultimately you have to just be clear that you can't afford it if they're asking for too much, and then you just go with your original plan. But there's a way to do it so that they feel involved in part of the process.
Okay. All right. So Petra, I come to you. What do you have to
Yeah.
say?
With this one, I really wish Albert would go before me because
Okay. So Albert.
why did you want to go before me? Please do.
So I think I'll start from where Joa left that it's important we involve them. It's emotional for them and everything, so we need to involve them. But ultimately, the decision lies with us, right? Because I remember I gave my mother quota as well. I told her that she can only come with 5 people, right? That's because see the people from my hometown would come and they come a lot. you know like Adjoa's mother, like my mother is everywhere, she goes for everybody's everything, right? Like she travels to places to support people, so I knew they would come. So I was like, okay, you can just come, I'm catering for just 5 people. If for some reason you would think you cannot dodge the people from my hometown, then you have to cater for them. She said no problem. So guess what? She showed up with 2 buses.
Yeah, the look on your face.
Yes.
Okay, I now know why Petra wanted to use
With 2 buses, and even that, some people were angry that they were not told. So when they headed that morning, they came with a taxi all the way from Sudru.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and she catered for them. That was outside my scope. She actually cooked and everything, put in their bars. So, because I didn't cook, I told them that we are not cooking. Not that I don't want them there, but we won't cook. Because like I mentioned earlier on, we're cutting down costs. We did the engagement and the wedding same day. No food, cocktail, right? So imagine someone comes all the way and you
Yeah.
don't serve food. The person will go back and they will say, like, we came the whole way and then we were hungry and blah, blah, blah. So that was the reason I gave to her and she understood. So if you are bringing those people, then you have to feed them because I am not feeding anybody. Right. And she cooked. And after the wedding, when I served my granola and avaro, they went into the bars and they ate their jollof and everything there.
Okay.
So, Anobo, they can come. Of course, they made it nicer that all of them came, but I didn't have to spend on them. Right.
Okay.
So, once they understand where you are coming from, if the family is rich, and then you tell them, now I want a small wedding, that and they're like, oh, don't worry about this, we will cater for it. No, ball. You can rent the whole of what's it called, Independence Square, and bring everybody. So far as you are footing the bill, we will come as props. And that, in that case, you are props, right? But you can't give me a requirement and expect me to foot the bill.
Yeah.
Do you get it? That would be unreasonable.
Yeah.
And I know some parents can do it, but the reasonable parents will not do that. So if they are giving you a requirement, there is a good chance that they are going to support you financially to cater for that. If not, then you stand your ground and say that we can't do this. And if you are marrying from a guy's perspective, and the lady's family is giving you requirements and they are not footing the bill, then you should know that this is going to be your life. And that should be a red flag for you, right? Because you are going to be together for life. And if they are unreasonable at this point to even know that you are a young couple starting life and why are you giving me this huge requirement and you're not even bringing the funds, then they are unreasonable people. I'm sorry to say, right? But these are some of the ways that we're able to judge where we are going and the people we are dealing with. Even if you go ahead and decide to marry, just make sure that you don't go too close to that side because it could be problematic.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, their input is valuable. We need to involve them, else it will be a problem. But we need to stand our grounds and not do things that we cannot afford to.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Albert. Petra, now are you free to talk?
Yes, yes. So, like Albert is saying, the input is not bad, but let's say if you are marrying into a rich family, from the men's perspective, you can welcome some of these inputs, but I always say that let it not be their wedding. It's still your wedding as a couple, and let it be within what both of you want your wedding to be. So if you don't want a flamboyant wedding, but they are forcing you to have it and they are footing it, you still don't like it. You can tone it down a bit in a more, calmer way. Yeah, obeka na ọdọ kwan so. Because some parents feel offended. Like imagine you are what despite daughter and um not so rich person is not so rich boy is coming to marry his daughter. He would want to show off. I mean, how say about despite by wedding and we can't see some things,
Yeah.
they feel like it's an insult crowd to them. So they'll want to do some of these things. But um allow them to do it, but don't let it become their wedding. It's not their second wedding, it's your wedding. So let it be about the two of you. Yeah, both of you should be on the same page. Sometimes I think, yeah, let's just leave it there, because sometimes you hear that um what some families do the wedding for you, and then it becomes very messy in the end. So yeah, I think that you can allow it. I know most of the men will say, oh no, it demasculine it Albert, so demasculinates. And I also kind of saying the men, whatever it does to them, please. I mean, and yes, but just stay within the scope of what you want for a wedding, and I think that you should be fine. Sika de enya bone. Obiara nso ni hɔ a ɔmpɛ ade pa.
Yeah, Piska.
Yes.
Sikaya again, says the Bible,
Eh.
right? Yeah.
My uncle will say, "What was the pesca? What do you have for me?"
I know. I know. So,
Yeah.
Pasha, are you done?
Yes, I am.
All
You
right,
can
that's fine.
carry
So
on.
let's flip what our discussion is about.
Mm-hmm.
Does a simpler, more intimate wedding lead to better financial stability and a more harmonious start to a marriage? Let me take it again. Does a simpler, more intimate wedding lead to better financial stability and a more harmonious start to a marriage? Adra, yes, I'm coming to you.
Okay, so if we're looking at it from the face value, then I'll say yes. But a simpler wedding doesn't necessarily mean that you are more financially uh, prudent. If your partner has skeletons, financial skeletons in their closet they haven't shared with you, which you find out after marriage, even if you did have a simpler wedding, yeah, you still be in the same soup. Probably in an even worse of situation because you do not understand their financial, or you didn't understand their financial commitments or obligations before getting married. So I think that is what is more important. what is their financial state before you even think of getting married. Then the if that person is financially fit, then if you have a simpler wedding, it is likely that those same disciplines will apply to all the planning of your life going forward and potentially be peaceful for you financially. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have a blissful marriage. The other challenges are going to come, but this is purely from a financial point of view. I mean, you might have your own issues, but when it comes to money, you guys understand each other. You're able to take decisions, etc. And even for couples who eventually, go their separate ways, if you have that financial fitness, you're still able to co-parent and still be reasonable in your planning for the children together going forward. So honestly, I think it's more about the financial fitness of each individual that makes the marriage successful than the simple wedding analogy.
Oh,
Thank you.
all right. I like the financial fitness. I love that. So, Petra, do you also think financial fitness works here?
Yes, not necessarily. So, like Adra said, it can be and the other way. So, for me, really, what makes your marriage, last for me will be the efforts you've put in throughout, the planning, what you went throughout counseling, what have you guys been discussing, like I just said, what kinds of skeletons do you have in your financial closet? Won't I be surprised after the wedding that you owe here, and because you were, being canon just for us to be two becoming one into Namabua with your car sort of thing. People can be very deceptive nowadays, all because they know that me, when you marry me, is when I will help you. So they'll wait and then intentionally come and marry you because they know that, oh, I had the ahabe the kakra, but just say you're wearing answer, So it's all that will lead. But of course, if you don't owe anybody before the whole thing, you start off, fresh. You don't have any unnecessary stress. You don't owe anybody, so you can start off life, peacefully and smoothly. And so, yes, for me, I think it helps too. It helps too, but of course, it doesn't guarantee that. Yeah, but it's a good thing to start off, debt free, and yeah, for me, that's
Okay.
it.
Okay. So Albert, I'm coming to you the same question. Does a simpler, more intimate wedding lead to better financial stability and a more harmonious start to marriage?
I agree with the earlier comments, not necessarily. It's because he owes. That's why he proposed a simple marriage, not because he wants a simple marriage. So, I mean, yes, to on the face of it, it may look so, no extra pressure. So you get to start knowing the person by who they are, and not because they are under pressure from the finances or from debt from the wedding. So it doesn't not necessarily mean so, but if you do not have that extra burden, it helps. If you do not have that extra burden of debt from the wedding, it helps for you to start on a clean slate and get to know each other. Other issues may come, but then it won't be because of debt from the wedding.
Okay, quite interesting answers here. Maybe Ajra, subsequently we have to have a discussion on financial fitness. I like that word. It could help a lot of people. We have 6 minutes to go, so I'll take your last words. What practical advice can you give to a couple who wants a meaningful wedding experience without going into debt or succumbing to external pressure? Let me take it again. What practical advice can you give to a couple who wants a meaningful wedding experience without going into debt or succumbing to external pressure? So I'll start with Adre again.
My simple advice is to thy own self be true. You know your pockets, you know your personality type, you know what your vision is for your wedding. You know the reality on the ground. Plan accordingly. I think that for me is my simple advice for couples trying to plan their wedding.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Petra,
So
pass your quote according to your clock.
that word is here to stay, because for me, you need to set a realistic budget. Like Aja is saying, be true to your own self. What's like what can you pay for? How much can you, let go of for this wedding? And we need to also prioritize what matters to us most. For me, the whole ceremony is a show. The rest is what we are going to be doing at home as a couple. So take your counseling seriously. And then personally, I think I like small gatherings for my wedding, naming, small gathering. If I'm having my naming ceremony and you didn't even know I was pregnant, you won't even hear that we're naming the baby. Yes, I go to my WhatsApp. We always invite what I think 100, 50 from my side, 50 from Albert's side. You just go, or what Albert, is it 50 in total? Somewhat, but you just go into your WhatsApp and you just select the first 25 or the first 50 people you've had a chat with. It's so easy for me. So if you don't get an invite, clearly you didn't know that I was pregnant, and no emotions here, you understand? So I feel that we should embrace small intimate gatherings as a community now, because um the whole spread, it doesn't benefit anyone. It's a necessary cost for young people, and at the end of the day, everyone will go home and it's just left with you two to figure it out. And if you are not prudent enough, you go overboard and you'll be biting your fingers in the end. And we should just focus on the marriage, not the ceremony. It's not about the ceremony. The ceremony is nice, but the marriage too is much more important, because that's for life until death do you part. And so the ceremony there is just a show to legalize, to tell you people that, yeah, when you see my husband standing with someone, shout, that kind of thing. But when you see me standing with someone, also shout. It's just a formality thing. It's just to formalize the union. We shouldn't dwell all our energy and all our resources there. Personally, I knew that, everyone knows I like to dance. So my wedding, we couldn't have the big place for us to dance, because ICJC gave us rules here and there. We figured out what, we could have a club night. We did the club. It was free. Luckily, my cousin's husband gave us his club. It was free. We got DJ for free. So that whole part was free, and I enjoyed it. We did the same day everything, and I think we saved what 50,000 for just having both ceremonies on the same day. Whereas
Yeah.
if we had had it on different days, you'd have to rent chairs, you have to rent separate tables, people will have to eat, you have to pay for all those kind of things. So just plan properly, and see, like, check what's very important to both of you, and communicate properly. You come up with a very tasteful wedding that wouldn't break a bank. Personally,
Ah,
for me, the word here is have a tasteful wedding. When people see your wedding, they'll think that, you put in a lot, but really, at the end of the day, it's just the two of you, and you're happy. That's what matters to me. So yeah, I think that's what it is for me.
All right. Thank you so much, Petra. Albert.
Okay, so what I would say is, at the end of the day, it's the two of you. And one of the things I kept saying during our wedding was, whether it goes well or it goes bad, at the end of the day, I'm still taking you home. So if we are there and drinks short, don't. I told the people, if there's we run out of drinks and you come and tell me that we've run out of drinks, I'll tell you, okay, so you stand with my wife, I'm going to buy drinks. Then they're like, oh, but we can't do that. Then don't come and tell me. All right. So whether people get food, they don't get food, whatever happens, whether good or bad, at the end of the day, I'm taking my wife home. So do not let pressure force you to do things because of what people will say. Because whether they talk or not talk, at the end of the day, it's just you and your partner. How do you ensure that you start your life very happy? You're happy with what you've done. If you try to squeeze things out. For us, we squeezed all the things from the wedding, the things that we've deemed unnecessary, we canceled it out and spent it on honeymoon, went to Mauritius, went to Dubai, and people like, hey, they did expensive wedding, did you see their honeymoon? Not knowing that we squeeze things from here and push to the other side, because you just come and you eat and you don't get anything. So we reduce the number of people who are coming. Like Petra said, we just scroll through. First 50, we invite you, we are done. And then after the wedding, you realize that there were some important people you didn't invite. Just because I've not spoken to you in the last month. I'm sorry. Next time, stay close. Right? And we don't even feel sorry about it, because you can also justify that you haven't been around for a while. So you just need to stamp your feet, do what will make you and your partner happy. At the end of the day, the wedding really, I think it's more for the women than for the men. So if you can afford, make your wife happy. If you can afford, make your wife happy. Don't be cheap if you can afford. Right? Yeah, but if you cannot afford to, do not go and borrow. Do not get into debt, because finances is one of the top reasons why marriages do not end well.
Man, sika yemuja, as they say. And money is good, so make a lot of it. All right, we have hit 7 o'clock. And thank you once again, Ajwa, Petra, and Albert. I really enjoyed the conversation. See you all next week for another interesting conversation. Thank you.
Okie dokes. Thank you for having us. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, thank you, Naomi. You are still here. Thank you.
Oh, Naomi, thank you. Bye.
Yeah.